In this video, I'm going to talk about deploying to the Samsung Gear VR and the Oculus platform. Let's get the Oculus platform out of the way up front. In order to deploy for Oculus, you're going to need either the DK2 headset or the new consumer headset. You're also going to need a relatively high-end video card in your PC. I don't have either of those things, so I'm not going to show deploying for the Oculus headset itself, but it's going to be pretty much the same as how I deployed Cardboard on OS X. Well, you're going to have to make sure for the Oculus that you have this VR mode disabled for the Cardboard. We don't want Cardboard's VR. And in the build settings, you'll have to make sure for the player that virtual reality supported is turned on. So provided you have those two things and you build for Windows, it's just going to work right out of the box. It's very simple. What I am going to do is I'm going to build for the Gear VR. So again, I'm going to come to a project that I've already set up for Android. You could just go into the build settings and change for Android if you want, but it's faster for me to open a new project. As you can see in this project, in the build settings, I have Android selected and switch platform is disabled. Now there's a couple of other things that you need to do when building for Android. You need to have an Oculus signature file, and even though this isn't plugin based, you're going to need to put this in plugins, Android, and you're going to have to create a new folder here, and it has to be named assets. And this is where your signature file goes. And where do you get your signature file? You can get it on the internet. So I'm just going to switch over here to Chrome. And you come to this web page, developeroculus.com OSIG. You're going to need to log in. I'm already logged in. If you don't have an account, you're going to have to create an account. And you're going to have to know the Android ID of your device. This is the Android ID of my device. These aren't private. How do you get this Android ID? There's several different ways you can get this Android ID. There's an app in the App Store that Oculus provide, or if you have the developer tools installed, which I do, you can go to the terminal and you can go to where your SDK is stored. Mine is stored in the default location. And finally, the platform tools. And here you can use the ADB debugging tool and just list devices. Whoops, sorry, I need / because it's not in my path. And here you can see the device ID. So 0315411. Let me just switch back to the web. Yes, and that is the case. You need to download this file, so click download. And it's a very small file, so it'll download very quickly. I can show that file. And I'm just going to drag this into Unity. Let me move things around a little here. Move Unity out of the way. Drag this file right in there. And drop it. And now you have the OSIG file there. Now, as I said earlier, since Android is an open platform, I don't have to go through Android Studio to build this. Unity can build and deploy this directly onto the device. Let me do that now. Once again, I'm just going to remind you, make sure mobile input is turned off. And you come to File, Build Settings, and you can actually click Build and Run. And what Unity will do once again is it's going to say, where do you want to build this? Once again, I'm putting it in my builds and I'm going to save it here. And of course, I've done this before, so I'm going to overwrite it. Unity is going to do its thing and it's actually going to deploy it directly to the device. While this is building, I'm going to fire up Mirror Up on my device so I can show you. So I'm just going to let this build in the background and I'm going to go to the Finder, to the Applications, and I'm just going to find Mirror Op. And fire up the Mirror Op receiver, and we'll get connected up to the Mirror Op receiver while this is building out to the phone. All right, so there I am connected up, and we'll now let Unity continue to do its thing while we watch it on the phone. Let me just switch the phone back to the home screen so you can see we do have a phone running here. All right, you can see it's now pushing the APK to the device. You'll also notice that's another place you can get the device ID. You can see the device ID right here. So if you don't have that device ID when you're pushing the APK to the device, if you write quickly, you might be able to copy it down. As you can see now, the build has been successful, and over here on the phone, I'm getting this message to insert my device into the Gear VR headset. Once I did that, then the app would start running on the Gear VR. And so with that, I'm going to end this video on deploying to the Gear VR and Oculus platforms.